Alright, so today we will be discussing a very important JavaScript concept, that it being function parameters. What is a function parameter? A function parameter pretty much works like a blueprint for values that you'll pass into a function when you call that function. They're declared inside of a function parentheses. So you'll see how it works when I demonstrate it right here. So let's create a function called special greeting. Put the parentheses there. Now the parameters are written inside of these parentheses. So the first parameter, I'll call it greeting. The second parameter, I'll call it name. The third parameter, I will call it bank balance. Now you see the names of functions and the name of variables, parameters, are always written in camel case notation like this, where the first word has a lowercase, the second word in that same variable name or parameter name or function name will have an uppercase. Alright, we will use curly brackets. Now inside of the curly brackets we will write out the behavior of this function. So we want the function to render out a dynamic greeting within the console. So we're going to write console.log. Now inside of this console.log, the way that I want this function to behave is that first it'll show the greeting. Thereafter, these words will show, or sorry, after the greeting, then it'll show the name, and after the name, it will include these words right here. Your current bank balance is space within these double quotes. Next, use the plus sign, and after this sentence right here, we want it to show our bank balance. I like to put a semicolon at the end of any programming statement as best practice. Alright, so now when we call this function, we want the function to display first the greeting. So what we pass in as values when we're calling the function, they're known as arguments. So the first argument that I will pass in, which corresponds to this parameter called greeting, will be a string with this sentence: hello and welcome. Next, next we will write the second argument, which corresponds to name, and I'll write that as Jim. And the third argument that I'll write, which corresponds to bank balance, will be 7,654. And let me just add this right here. Alright, so we'll see how this is rendered when we press the run button. So press the run button. Alright, So now it's rendering hello and welcome Jim. Your current bank balance is 7,654. So when I call the function, I was able to dynamically render the message of my choice. Um, and I programmed it to behave in a way in which the bank balance would be shown at the end of the statement. The greeting and the name would be at the beginning of the statement. All right. I can put in some different arguments and it'll render out a similar message with a few changes. So let me put in the first argument, I'll put that as what's up, comma, next argument. Instead of using the name Jim in double quotes, I'll put Jack. And now Jack's bank balance, I'll put that as 200. This guy's almost bankrupt. All right, so just so that we won't get confused, I'll erase that. Press the run button. All right, and you see that it prints out, what's up, Jack? Your current bank balance is 200. So in summary, a function with parameters acts like a blueprint for a dynamic function. And when you're calling that function, you will add in certain values known as arguments within these parentheses. Each argument that you put in will correspond to a certain parameter. In this case, the first argument, what's up, I chose for it to be a string, and it corresponds to this greeting over here. The second argument, name, I chose for it to also be a string. So this name Jack right here in double quotes corresponds to the parameter name. And the third parameter, I chose for it to be a number. Okay, I did not put in double quotes. I chose for it to be a number, and it corresponds to bank balance. All right. So when we're creating the parameters, we don't know whether it's going to be a string or a number. But when we pass in arguments, that's when we are able to choose whether the arguments will be strings, or numbers, or other types of values. So that's all for today, and um, hope you're able to benefit from this. Please comment, share, like, and subscribe.